How's it going, my peeps? It is now time for the Extreme Rules 2015 results/highlights and review video. I'll be going over the results of the show, some of the highlights in my opinion, and give you guys my thoughts and my review on the show. So, it starts off with the kickoff. The panel this time is Renee Young, Byron Saxton, Corey Graves, and Booker T. The same panel they've had for the past couple pay-per-views. To sum up the kickoff, we get an interview with Naomi. Eden interviews her about the Divas Championship match. Naomi says she won't regret what happens to Nikki tonight, and basically that she's going to win the Divas Championship. And we also get Ambrose showing up in front of the camera, in front of the kickoff panel. He goes ahead and kicks Byron Saxton out, or tells him to kind of leave. And then he goes ahead and says that he's here tonight to get revenge on Harper, that he doesn't forget. He hasn't forgotten what happened at WrestleMania. They show footage of Harper powerbombing Ambrose through that ladder at Mania. And that once the show kicks off, he's going to go ahead and give Harper the beating of his life in Chicago. And after that, we get a Bray Wyatt promo. Bray Wyatt cuts a promo once again on somebody. He doesn't say the name of the person, but I think we can all assume that it's probably Ryback. And then we get Bad News Barrett versus Neville. Before the match, Bad News Barrett goes ahead and says that he doesn't blame Bryan for not showing up because he's probably afraid of facing him. And then he calls himself the Michael Jordan of England. So, Bad News Barrett versus Neville. Neville, just some highlights of the match. You had Neville hit his corkscrew moonsault to the outside on Bad News Barrett, and he hit a bridging German suplex on Barrett as well. Barrett kicked out of that, and he went for the red arrow like 3 times. He fell twice, so eventually got it. But anyways, yeah. Neville got hit with the waistline. He kicked out. Bad News Barrett also went for the bullhammer a bunch of times. Neville got out of it, or, dodged it. So, Barrett went for the bullhammer at some point. Neville ducks, and then he hits him with an enziguri. He positioned Barrett for the red arrow. He climbed up top, but then Barrett took him off. So, Neville was still on the top turnbuckle, but he kind of, fell off. And then Barrett prepares for the bullhammer. He switches his elbow pad to the red side, and then he goes for it, but Neville dodges it. He jumps off the turnbuckle, and then he goes ahead and kicks Barrett right in the head, and then climbs up the top turnbuckle once again, and hits the red arrow for the 1, 2, 3. Neville beats Bad News Barrett in a surprise win. And after that was pretty much it for the kickoff. After that was the main show. Ambrose versus Luke Harper in a Chicago Street fight kicked off the show. And right off the bat, when Luke Harper was making his entrance, Ambrose attacked him before he even made it to the ring. And then he hit a suicide dive on Luke Harper. And then he started hitting Harper with kendo stick shots. After that, he goes ahead and sets up a chair. He sat on the chair for a while waiting for Luke Harper to get up. He went for the suplex on the chair, which, like I said, was set up for somebody to sit on it, but Luke Harper countered it, and he hit a suplex of his own on Ambrose through that chair. Basically broke the chair with the suplex. And then Ambrose, at some point, goes for another suicide dive on Harper on the outside, but Harper catches him, and then he pushes him towards the apron. Ambrose gets on the apron, and since, he can't really bounce off in the middle of the ropes like he usually does for the rebound clothesline, instead, he jumps on the apron, and then he spins on the apron and comes back with the rebound clothesline. And then basically chases Luke Harper to the back. They start fighting in the backstage area, and then we see an SUV. And Harper gets in the SUV, and he gets in the driver's seat. He actually gets in the car through the passenger seat, but anyways, he gets on the driver's seat. And then Ambrose jumps in the car through the window, and then Harper takes off. He just drives out of the arena. And so the commentators are wondering, what's going to happen now? They just left the arena. Is there going to be cameras to follow where they are? They don't know what to do. And then they go backstage to Triple H, who tells Kane to go ahead and look for Ambrose and Harper. And then Seth Rollins comes in, and then they start talking about the steel cage match. And Triple H tells them to get on the same page, stop being childish, and start acting professional. And then Seth brings up what happened on SmackDown when Kane threw Seth back in the ring and then Reigns speared them for the win. And then Triple H tells Kane that Seth does have a point. But anyways, in the end, Kane says that tonight he'll do what's best for business. And then after that, we get Dolph Ziggler versus Sheamus. And like right from the get-go, in the beginning of the match, there was a really cool spot where when they were on the outside, Sheamus goes ahead and he pushed Dolph Ziggler towards the steps, like, you know, how they usually throw somebody onto the steps. But Ziggler jumps on the steps, and then he jumps back onto Sheamus from the steel steps and hits a jumping DDT on the floor. That was a pretty cool spot. I like that. And the match ending was was a big surprise. I fully expected Sheamus to win this match, and I think most of us thought Sheamus was going to win this match, but no. Ziggler actually won the match. He countered what seemed to be a suplex from Sheamus into a roll-up for a 3 count, and won. And then after that, for like 5 minutes or something like that, he's waiting for Sheamus to kiss his ass, but Sheamus just doesn't want to do it, and Sheamus is like, no, it wasn't a 3 count, it was a 2 count. And then he's just, you know, walking around in the ring. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't want to kiss Dolph Ziggler's arse. And eventually he gets on his knees. But he doesn't kiss Dolph's ass. Instead, he low blows him. And then he picks Dolph up, hits him with the bro kick. And then he makes Dolph kiss his ass. He actually gets on the microphone and says, you know, I said I was going to make you kiss my arse. So then he made him kiss his arse. And actually, a funny part about the ending, or after the ending, was that the ref was yelling at Sheamus when Sheamus just didn't want to kiss Dolph Ziggler's arse. He was yelling at Sheamus, and he was like, you made the match, now you're gonna kiss his ass. But anyways, yeah, in the end, Sheamus loses, but Dolph is the one to kiss Sheamus' arse. When I saw that Dolph won the match, I was like, nah, Sheamus is not gonna kiss Dolph's arse. Something's gonna happen. He's gonna attack Dolph. He's not gonna do it. And that's what happened. So after that, we get a tag team championship match. It's Cesaro and Kid versus the New Day, and this match was freaking awesome. Just to give you guys a couple highlights, at some point, you had Big E Irish whip Cesaro, and you know how they usually, you know, well, not usually, but sometimes, you know, they'll jump over the other guy, and Big E sometimes does it too, where, you know, somebody comes bouncing off the ropes, and then the other guy jumps over him. So Big E tries to jump over Cesaro once he comes back from the ropes, but Cesaro goes ahead and catches Big E in midair, and then slams him, hits him with a scoop slam, a body slam. So that was pretty cool, just to see, you know, Cesaro catch Big E in midair like that. And then at some point, you also had Tyson Kidd hitting a flipping senton. You know how they usually do the flipping senton to the outside over the top rope? He does it in between the ropes. That was pretty cool. He did it on Kofi Kingston. Speaking of Kofi, at some point in the match, he goes for a crossbody from the top rope, but Cesaro also catches him in midair and then turns it into a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. He covers Kingston, and Kingston kicks out. And then you had Cesaro hitting his apron superplex on Kofi Kingston, followed by Tyson Kidd's springboard elbow, but Kofi Kingston kicked out. I actually thought the match might end there. And at some point, Big E got tagged in without Tyson Kidd seeing it, and then he did that, you know, shoulder tackle / spear that he does from inside of the ring to his opponent on the apron to the outside, taking both of them out. That was pretty cool. And then after that, Big E went ahead and went back in the ring so that him and Kofi can hit their double team finisher, basically the big ending into that DDT. And they hit the move, and at this point I'm like, oh, the match is over. You know, New Day wins. But Cesaro came out of nowhere and broke the pin. After that, you also had Kofi Kingston going for Trouble in Paradise, but Tyson Kidd caught him, he caught his legs, and then locked him into the sharpshooter, and I also thought at this point that Cesaro and Kidd would retain, but Big E also comes out of nowhere, and he stops it by hitting a belly-to-belly suplex on Kidd. After that, Cesaro goes ahead and he does the big swing on Kofi into the drop kick from Tyson. But then Big E goes ahead and takes out Tyson Kidd shortly after. He takes him out the ring, and then Cesaro goes ahead and takes Big E out of the ring. And because of that slight distraction, Kofi Kingston rolls up Cesaro, and he grabs the tights. Referee counts 1, 2, 3, and the New Day win the tag team titles. That was a surprise. Well, actually, at some point in the match, I was like, you know what? There might be a chance that the New Day wins this. The way the match had all these false finishes. I even thought, like I said, the New Day was gonna win the match once Big E and Kofi hit that double team finisher, the big ending into the DDT. But man, this was an awesome match. Whether you prefer the New Day or Cesaro and Kidd, this was a really, really good tag team match. And now it looks like Tyson Kidd and Cesaro might be faces. I'm not sure. Xavier Woods at some point tried to get involved, but Natalya went ahead and slapped him. So who knows? Maybe Kidd and Cesaro are faces now, maybe not. But I'm looking forward to the rematch. Should be a great match, because this was a great match. Anyways, after that, we get Renee Young interviewing the New Day backstage, and they start a new chant. Not the crowd. The New Day starts a new chant. They start chanting, "New Day, new champs." Instead, the crowd keeps chanting, "New Day sucks." But anyways, so they start chanting that, and then out of nowhere, the SUV that Harper, drove out of the arena comes back, and Harper gets out of it, or he falls out of it. And then the New Day, look at Harper, and Xavier Woods says, "Damn, you're still getting beat up?" And then they pick Harper up, or Harper gets up, and he's right in front of them. And then Ambrose all of a sudden is on top of the SUV. He goes to jump on Harper, but Harper gets out of the way, so he jumps instead on all three members of the New Day, taking them all out. And then Harper and Ambrose, or Harper goes ahead and runs in at ringside, I guess. And then Ambrose is nowhere to be found. Harper's looking for Ambrose at ringside on the stage. And then Ambrose comes jumping from the left side or whatever out of nowhere. And then once they're both off, they start throwing chairs inside the ring. And Luke Harper hits a sit-out powerbomb on Ambrose onto the chairs, but Ambrose kicks out. And then Harper goes ahead and puts a bunch of chairs on Ambrose, on top of Ambrose. He climbs up the top turnbuckle, goes to jump, but Ambrose takes off all the chairs off of him, and then he stops Luke Harper from jumping. He grabs him and throws him from the top turnbuckle onto all the chairs, and then he picks him up, hits Dirty Deeds, and gets the win, winning his first pay-per-view match since the Shield breakup. I actually thought Luke Harper was going to win. So, pretty cool to see Ambrose get his first pay-per-view win since, like I said, since the Shield breakup. Following that, it was John Cena versus Rusev, the Russian chain match. Now, I actually thought, before this pay-per-view, I thought that the Russian chain match would be just a match with no disqualification where they can use chains to beat each other up with. But apparently it's like the, what's the other match called? The bull rope match. Is it the Texas bull rope match? Something like that. I think JBL and was it JBL and John Cena? Might have been. I think JBL and John Cena maybe fought. Oh no, JBL and Eddie once fought in a bull rope match, I believe. And that's pretty much what the Russian chain match was, except instead of a rope, it was the chain, or the Russian chain. I'll just call it the chain, because what's the difference? Anyways, yeah. So, they're tied up in chains, one side on Cena, the other side on Rusev's wrist. And in this match, it was mostly dominated by Rusev, as expected. Rusev hit John Cena with the chain. He locked in the Accolade. John Cena locked in the STF, but when Rusev locked in the Accolade, he didn't use the chains really, to I guess choke Cena or whatever. But I guess they can't do that anymore. And I was thinking about John Cena versus Umaga Last Man Standing when John Cena used the ropes, in the STF on Umaga to put him down to make him pass out. I was thinking John Cena could do that to Rusev with the chains. But, I had a feeling that maybe it wasn't going to happen because, since it is PG now. So, yeah, John Cena did lock in the STF, but he didn't use the chains as, leverage or whatever. Anyways, so they use their signature moves. Rusev dominates most of the match. They have to touch all 4 corners in the ring. But whenever somebody, let's say Rusev touches 2 corners, if John Cena then goes ahead and starts beating up on Rusev or hits him with a kick or something like that, those 2 lights get, canceled out. So whenever your momentum stops, whenever the other guy, hits you or whatever, they erase your progress. So, in the end, John Cena and Rusev both get 3 corners. They both tap them, and so they both got 3. They only need 1 more corner, and whoever gets it first wins the match. So they're both at opposite sides of the ring, and then John Cena just pulls Rusev towards him with the chain, and then hits him with the attitude adjustment, and then taps the last corner, and it wins the match. And yeah, so Cena retains the US Championship. Now, I will be giving you guys my thoughts on this match and all the other match in more, detail, whatever, after I go over the results here. So, after this match, the Rusev and John Cena match, it was time for an interview with Roman Reigns. Renee Young interviews Roman Reigns about his match with the Big Show, and pretty much he tells her that Big Show can knock him down, as many times as he can, but Roman Reigns is going to keep getting back up, and whatever happens tonight, he's going to keep getting back up and be the last man standing. So afterwards, we get the Divas Championship match, Nikki Bella versus Naomi, and this was a pretty good match actually. We saw a couple new moves from Nikki, and Naomi actually, I like Naomi's boots in this match. She had glow in the dark boots. No, actually, not the entire boot, but the sole, whatever, the bottom. She had one of the bottoms of of one of her boots was lighting up green, and the other one was lighting up blue. Anyways, that aside, right when Nikki made her entrance with Brie, I was like, all right, Nikki and Brie, they're working faces for sure in this match. I mean, before this match even started, before even the pay-per-view, I was like, it looks like Nikki's turning face, at least for this match, for this feud with Naomi, since Naomi just turned heel. And it's not often that they have 2 heels, facing off. I mean, if you look at Cesaro and Tyson Kidd were heels, but during the match with the New Day, Cesaro and Tyson Kidd were pretty much faces. And they might even be faces after the match, we'll see, but going back to this, as soon as Nikki and Brie made their entrance, the way Nikki and Brie were smiling, they were smiling the same way they do when they're faces. Like, hey guys, we're good girls now. Like they have when they come out as heels, they don't smile the same way. It's more of a smirk. While when they're faces, it's like, yay, we're nice people. I don't know, just whatever. So, anyways, highlights of the match, or at least, points in the match. You had Brie Bella checking on Nikki on the outside at some point, and Naomi just comes in and just kicks Brie. And Brie was out for a while. I was like, damn, Brie, I mean, come on, you're a wrestler. You take a bunch of kicks, in the match. Yeah, that's the funny thing or the weird thing. You have commentators and stuff like that were wrestlers before. I mean, Brie's a current wrestler, but when she's not wrestling, all of a sudden, a kick takes her out for a while. Same thing with JBL and Booker T. When Brock was raging a couple weeks back, he pushed the announcer's table over, and they just got knocked out, and we didn't see them for the rest of the show. While when they were wrestling, they'd be put through tables, and, they'd be put through things a lot worse, and, still get back up in that very same match. Anyways, getting a bit off topic here. So yeah, Naomi goes ahead and kicks Brie, and Then at some point, Naomi goes ahead and goes for a split-legged moonsault. She misses that when Nikki rolls out the way. And then Nikki goes ahead and tries to put Naomi in the rack attack, but Naomi gets out of it by hitting elbows to Nikki's head. And then she follows it up with a full Nelson bomb on Nikki, covers her, but Nikki kicks out. Naomi also hit Gregory Helms' finisher, the Nightmare from Helm Street. I don't know what... I'm sure, Naomi has a name for it, too, that she's come up with. But, yeah, so she hits that, too, in the match. And, at some point, Nikki pulled off a jumping enziguri from the second rope. So, kind of like Cody's disaster kick. It really looked like Cody's disaster kick, except it was from the corner rather than, in the middle of the ropes, like a springboard move. So, the match ended when Naomi was down, but she had her head poking out, like outside the ring, in between the ropes. So then Brie, who's now up, she goes ahead and kicks Naomi while the ref's got his back turned, and then Nikki takes advantage of that. She puts Naomi in the rack attack, hits the rack attack, covers her, and wins the match, retaining the Divas Championship. And that's pretty much it. So, after that, we see Rusev backstage, and he's yelling at Lana, and then he tells her to go somewhere, and then she just leaves. I thought he was telling her to leave the arena, because he's speaking to her in, Bulgarian or Russian. I think Rusev speaks just Bulgarian to Lana. But anyways, he tells her to go somewhere, and then we see Lana walk away. I'm thinking he's telling her to leave the arena, but she walks into the authority's office. Well, she knocks, and then she goes in. And then after that, we get the last man standing match, Roman Reigns versus Big Show. Now, I miss the first couple minutes of the match, but I did, catch, like, the bigger parts of the match, the cooler parts in the match. So, I'd say I missed, like, maybe the first 8 minutes or something like that of the match. So anyways, highlights. We had Big Show chokeslamming Roman Reigns through 2 tables on the outside that Roman Reigns set up. That was a pretty cool spot there, like that. At some point, they had a table in the corner, and Reigns was slowly getting back up in the ring. Big Show was on the opposite end, taunting Reigns, mocking Reigns' taunt that he does before the spear. And so you knew Big Show was going to charge Reigns, and Reigns was going to get out the way, and then Big Show crashes through the table. And that's exactly what happened. So yeah, Reigns dodges, Big Show goes through the table, ref starts counting, but of course, Big Show gets up. And then after that, we saw Roman Reigns spear the Big Show through the barricade, and I thought maybe at that point Reigns might get the win, but actually Big Show got up at the count of 9, while Reigns actually got up at the count of 8. After the spear, both of them were down, with Reigns getting up 1 second before Big Show. And after that spear, Big Show tried to go for the choke slam on the announcer's table, and he had set up 2 steps, or not 2 steps, but, the steel steps. Both of them, you know how the steel steps usually, when the superstars want to use them to hit another superstar, they separate them. There's like one on top of the other. Basically, Big Show set up, the steel steps, one on top of the other, like it's supposed to be, like right next to the announcer's table. And Big Show tried to chokeslam Reigns on the table. But Reigns gets out of it, he jumps off the announcer's table, and then he runs towards the steel steps, gets on the announcer's table, and spears Big Show, not through the same announcer's table that Big Show is on, but the other table, the Spanish announcer's table that actually still has the top on. You know how they usually remove the top and the monitors and everything was on. I don't think there was monitors on it, but there was the top there. So yeah, he spears Big Show through it, and at that point, I'm thinking, alright, that's going to be the end of the match, and that got a really big pop, and I thought it was pretty cool too. But actually, Big Show got back up. I think it was at the count of 9. I'm not exactly sure. So then Reigns goes ahead and grabs another announcer's table, and he goes ahead and just flips it over onto the Big Show, and then he climbs up on the table himself to keep Big Show down for the count. And that's it. Reigns wins the match by, having the table over the Big Show and standing over that same table. So it was a pretty cool match from what I saw. Like I said, I miss, I don't know, from 5 to 8 minutes in the beginning. But from what I saw, I really liked what I saw. I'm assuming that the beginning of the match must have been pretty slow, because I did see some in the beginning, and that's what it looked like, but I might be wrong on that. But yeah, from what I saw, really liked it. And then after that, Bo Dallas came out to make fun of the Chicago crowd, so you knew somebody was going to come out to shut him up, and that's exactly what happened. Ryback came out, hit him with the meat hook clothesline, followed by the shell shock, and that was it. And then we saw Randy and Kane backstage, and basically Randy was telling Kane, since losing the mask, you've gone corporate, and you used to be, me and you used to be, the two most dangerous guys in the WWE and all of that. Basically trying to get Kane to, stop, sucking up to the authority or whatever, and go back to being the old Kane. I'll talk about that actually, in a few moments. So after that, we get an interview with Rusev, actually, Baron Saxton interviewing him, and he says that John Cena never beat him, and Lana goes ahead and announces that it's been done, and that, the last chapter of Rusev and John Cena will be at Payback in an I Quit match. And I'm like, Rusev's gonna lose once again, for the fourth time. No, not fourth time. They've had 4 matches. Well, they'll have 4 matches at Payback. They're not actually going to have 4 matches at Payback, but I mean, Payback is going to be their 4th match. But, yeah, so Rusev's going to lose again. Anyways, after that, it was time for the main event, Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton inside a steel cage. Now, right off the bat, Rollins tries to escape. And by the way, yes, Kane is the gatekeeper. Basically, he was just on the outside, and whenever somebody wants, the door to be open, he goes ahead and opens the door. So, Rollins tries to escape right away, but Randy stops him, and then he tries to escape again. And this time, Rollins was on the top rope, just like he was on Raw. And Randy took him off the same exact way he did on Raw, but since the RKO is banned, he didn't catch him afterwards into the RKO. And then after that, you have Seth Rollins telling Kane to open the door so he can escape, but Randy stopped him. At some point, Seth Rollins jumped for the top rope, but Randy caught him into a nice power slam. Rollins did try to escape a bunch of times. At one point, he was really close. He had his legs outside the cage, and J&J were even trying to help him, but Randy pulled him back in and then hit him with a superplex from the top rope. Would have been cool to see a superplex from the top of the cage, but I don't think that's going to happen. And then after that, J&J, they try and get Kane to let them go in, and they're like, come on, it's time, Kane. But Kane, refuses to let them in, at least, through the door. So then J&J decides to just climb up the cage, so Randy grabs Seth, and he throws Seth onto each side that, Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury are trying to climb on, so they just fall. And then Randy thinks about escaping the cage. He looks at Kane, and then he decides, you know what? He goes back, and he hits the DDT, the ropes DDT that he does on Rollins. And then he taunts for the RKO, but keep in mind, of course, the RKO is banned. So instead of going for the RKO, he hits the pedigree. I thought that was pretty cool. The crowd popped for that, too, when he pulled off the pedigree. But Seth Rollins kicked out of the pedigree. And then Randy decides to go for the punt kick since, Rollins kicked out of the pedigree. But Rollins gets out the way, and then he hits Randy with an enziguri. And then he tells Kane to open the door, so Kane opens it. Rollins starts crawling towards it, but then Randy stops him, and he hits him with the backbreaker. Then Randy tries to escape through the cage door, but Kane stops him, and he closes the door on his face. And then Rollins tries to dropkick Randy with his back turned, but Randy gets out the way, so instead Rollins drop kicks the steel cage door into Kane's face. And then eventually, once Kane gets back up, Randy and Seth are both trying to escape through the door, and Kane just grabs the steel cage door and slams it on both their faces. And then he gets in the ring, and J&J also get in the ring, but he goes ahead and double choke slams J&J, and then Rollins is begging Kane not to choke slam him. and Kane's like, acting like he's about to chokeslam Rollins, but he's not gonna chokeslam Rollins, and he's just taunting Rollins, but he's gonna grab Randy, and that's what he does. He grabs Randy by the throat and chokeslams him, and then after that, Rollins goes ahead and tries to escape, but Kane grabs him too, and then he chokeslams Rollins as well. And then he grabs Rollins' hand and puts it on Randy. Then he goes to leave, but Randy kicks out, because everybody kicks out of the chokeslam. Really, everybody kicks out of the chokeslam nowadays, except for like Adam Rose. So after that, Kane's like pissed, and he prepares for the tombstone. Randy's about to get up. Randy gets up. Kane sets him up for the tombstone, but Randy gets out of it, and then he hits the RKO on Kane. Since it's on Kane, it's okay. He's not a part of the match. Well, he's the gatekeeper, but, he's not Seth Rollins. And, speaking of Seth Rollins, once Randy hits the RKO on Kane, Seth Rollins goes ahead and hits the RKO on Randy, which I think a lot of people expected. I thought it could happen. I wasn't sure if it was going to happen. But, yeah, it happened. Seth Rollins hit the RKO on Randy. I know he did it at a live event, but now he did it also at Extreme Rules. After the RKO to Randy, Seth Rollins goes ahead and escapes the cage through the cage door. And that's it for that. Seth Rollins wins the steel cage match and retains the championship. And on commentary, they're talking about how, was Rollins right in doing that move? Was he allowed to do that move? I thought the RKO was banned, and then JBL says, yeah, but nobody thought Seth Rollins would do it. It's Randy Orton's move. It was meant for Randy. And so I guess that's going to be, the justification for Randy getting a rematch, or, another championship match against Seth Rollins. So anyways, what did I think about this show? I thought there were some good matches on the show. Some matches, I expected the steel cage match to be a pretty good match, but at the same time, I'm not the biggest fan of steel cage matches. I thought the match would be, a good match because Rollins versus Randy at WrestleMania was a great match, but this one was just, it was slow. Like, the pace of the match was pretty slow, and that's what I don't like about steel cage matches. Oftentimes, steel cage matches, when it comes to the pace of the match, it's a pretty slow match. It just, steel cage matches aren't one of my favorite match types. Now, also, when it came to the street fight between Ambrose and Luke Harper, I did like how they had the match in the beginning of the show, and then they ran off, or drove off. We didn't see them for a while. They had a couple other matches, and then all of a sudden, during a New Day interview, the match resumes. That was pretty cool. That was like a pretty cool way to take advantage of the street fight rules. I like that. The match was shorter than I expected because of that big gap where, they weren't anywhere to be seen. Or, some could say this was like the longest street fight ever because of the big gap of time where they weren't in the arena. So yeah, that's interesting actually. Is this match going to go in the record books as like I don't know, how long was it between the time they left the arena and when the match resumed? Or actually, no, since the match began and when the match ended, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm thinking it's an hour or something like that, so this was a pretty long street fight, but actually, when it came to them fighting, it wasn't, that long. But, what they did do, I liked. I really liked. So, liked the street fight, and yeah, Ambrose finally has that win now. I thought that they were going to hold off on Ambrose getting his first pay-per-view win since the Shield breakup till like Money in the Bank, since Money in the Bank 2014 is when his losing streak started at pay-per-views. But now I'm thinking since he won this Extreme Rules match, he's probably also going to win his Payback pay-per-view match, which might be a rematch against Luke Harper or something like that. And, so that way they can build up some momentum for Ambrose maybe winning Money in the Bank. And also the Tag Team Championship match, which is, for me, the match of the night. I love that tag team match. That was a great tag team match. And like I said in my prediction game video, I was expecting a great match. out of, the New Day and Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, because like I said, these guys, are really good in the ring, and it delivered, really delivered. It was just really good, well, with a lot of finishes, false finishes. I had a lot of points I thought, oh, the New Day's going to win now. And at some point, I thought Cesaro and Kidd were going to retain. When Cesaro and Kidd hit the apron superplex and then Tyson Kidd followed it up with the springboard elbow drop, I thought I was done there. When Tyson Kidd countered Kofi Kingston's Trouble in Paradise into the sharpshooter, I thought I was done there. But, Big E came out of nowhere, hit the belly-to-belly on Tyson Kidd, and when the New Day went ahead and hit their tag team finisher, the big ending into the DDT from the top rope, I also thought it was over there, but Cesaro came in for the save. Cesaro also pulled out some really impressive stuff when he caught Kofi Kingston from that crossbody, and when he caught Big E, Big E's a big dude in midair, and, hit a body slam on him right after. Everybody in that match, really delivered. Also, I love Big E's move, his spear from the inside of the ring to the outside, taking himself and, the other guy out. So, yeah, that for me was the best match of the night. Followed maybe by the street fights. Actually, no, not the street fight. I'd say the last man standing match, because the street fight, while, it was interesting what they did, it was cool, it was something different. The match time was actually short if you just look at, the actual in-ring time that we got. If they had an actual, full-on match where, they just stayed in the arena, backstage, maybe fighting backstage, fighting in the crowd, fighting in the ring, then maybe the match would be, like, in second place or whatever. But, since they did take a lot of time away from the match with them leaving, it just, because the match between Harper and Ambrose had a lot of potential to be a great, match. And while I did like, what they did because it was different, it was something we didn't see before, it's, I like to see Ambrose and Luke Harper actually get, a good amount of time in a match like this. So yeah, I'd say second spot would be the last man standing match for me. So, and also I did enjoy Bad News Barrett versus Neville. I thought it was a great match to kick off the show, or at least kick off the kickoff. Well, it didn't kick off the kickoff actually, because it was like half an hour into the kickoff. But yeah, I thought that match was pretty cool. And you didn't know who was gonna win. At least I didn't know who was gonna win. I thought Barrett had a good chance at winning it, and also Neville. It was cool to see Neville get the win. And as far as the Russian chain match, I really didn't enjoy that match. I thought their Fastlane match and their WrestleMania match were just so much better than this Russian chain match. It just, it wasn't good. I didn't like it. Divas match wasn't bad. Overall, the show was pretty solid. But also the main event, I was disappointed in the main event. Because I was expecting a good match, because Randy and Seth Rollins, they put on a good match at WrestleMania. But at the same time, you've got this steel cage, and I'm not the biggest fan of steel cage matches. I feel they slowed down the pace of the match. I think I already said that. So anyways, I don't want to talk too much. Highlights of the night for me, the tag team match, and Randy hitting the pedigree. As far as the rating for the show, I'd give it a 7 to 7.5 on 10. I think that's a fair rating. What rating would you give the show? Let me know in the comments below, as well as the match of the night for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can click the like button. With that said, I'm out. See ya.